My husband's ex-girlfriend used death threats, hoping he'd leave me and return to her. In response, my husband immediately ordered a knife online and had it sent directly to her workplace. There's the knife you bought. Whoever doesn't die is a dog. Tania, my husband's ex-girlfriend, sent a picture. Her wrist was covered in bloody gashes. Leo, do you really not need me anymore? Unfortunately, she'd left my husband too early to truly understand him. That picture was so clumsily photoshopped it was laughable. My husband is a designer, meticulous to every pixel. I even recognized it was fake before he did. A thought suddenly sparked in my mind. I pretended to be weak, leaning into his arms. Leo, leave me, go back to her. She's willing to sacrifice her life for you. My husband pushed me away, playing the role of the green tea bitch himself. How can you act so adorably while she just makes people sick? I wasn't sure how to respond, but Leo wasn't someone who would easily tolerate this. The enemy had come knocking. If he didn't act, how could I save face? Tania, you sent a photoshopped picture of your bloody hand. Why don't you try to get better at Photoshop? Look at your hand. It's big and ugly. You don't even know how to edit it to make it look better. After sending that message, the other side remained completely silent all night. Leo and I had been together since college. Back then, I knew he'd had a first love, Tania. They dated when his family was going through a tough time. His father passed away from a severe illness, and all their savings vanished when his company went bankrupt. Leo always felt deeply indebted to Tania. Even when she left him for a wealthy man to study abroad, he never resented her. He never cut off contact, only hoping to one day repay her for the years she'd stayed by his side. But to my surprise, as soon as Tania returned to the country, she shattered her image in his heart. She immediately sought him out. He'd clearly told her he was about to marry me and even sent her an invitation. The result? She crashed our wedding. Right there in the wedding hall, she sobbed dramatically. Leo, we loved each other so much. How can you not be mine in the end? Guests at the tables stared, bewildered, some even moved by this tragic love story. But my husband wasn't easily swayed. He snatched the microphone from the MC's hand, his expression unchanged. The young lady at the second table on the left, I think you're in the wrong banquet hall. I don't know you at all. Where are all my friends, who helped me organize such a perfect wedding? His close friends, understanding his cue, immediately rushed over and dragged Tania out ruthlessly. After that incident, she behaved for a few days. But a green tea bitch must persevere to the end. Without that spirit, success is hard to come by. Just a few days later, she was waiting outside his company every day, sometimes inviting him to eat, other times feigning that she didn't know anyone there and needed his help. But every time she came, he'd bring me along. After all her tactics failed to move him, she started playing the nostalgia card, even threatening suicide. Leo, you once said you'd love me for life, so why didn't you wait for me? I also said I'd love my dog for life, you know? Leo was initially going to ignore her, but I was curious to see what other tricks she had up her sleeve. I egged my husband on to pretend to talk to her. The last time her wrist-cutting photo failed, I wonder what stunt she'll pull this time. Wife, don't waste time talking to her. Let's go to bed early. Spring nights are short. Leo buried his face in my neck, his gentle kisses sending shivers down my skin. The phone rang. Tania messaged, I just spoke with Auntie. We're going to the spa tomorrow. If sister-in-law is free, please come along for fun. Leo drove me to the address Tania had sent. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw her arm in arm with my mother-in-law, laughing and talking happily as if they were long-lost mother and daughter. From a distance, my mother-in-law was practically bent over with laughter. In truth, my mother-in-law had been unhappy about my marriage to Leo from the very beginning. She was a money grubber, constantly complaining that my family was poor, a nobody unworthy of her son. She used to boast, girls chasing my Leo. The line stretches all the way to Paris. Little did my mother-in-law know. My father, using insider information, had bought a dilapidated house in an area slated for redevelopment. Now, my mother just sat at home collecting rent. She only bothered herself with worldly affairs when she had nothing better to do. I wasn't stupid. If she found out, she'd probably cling to me and demand all sorts of things. Leo wasn't particularly fond of his mother either. He'd been sent to live with his grandmother in the countryside since he was a child. His mother never bothered with him. It wasn't until his father died, leaving behind a mountain of debt, that his mother suddenly remembered she had a son she wanted to bring home to get more money from his grandmother. That's why he had no intention of telling his mother about the spa incident. I feigned sulkiness. Honey, your mom and Tania seem to get along really well, don't they? Leo chuckled. That's my mom for you. Tania can twist her around her little finger in just a few sentences. She's probably closer to mom now than I am. Just treat today as a relaxing beauty day. Let whatever they say go in one ear and out the other. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, just tell me, and I'll handle it. He hugged me gently, kissing my forehead. Still, she was his birth mother, so I had to maintain some face, especially when Tania was deliberately playing up to my mother-in-law like this. Unable to avoid it, I gently pushed Leo away, took a deep breath, and quickly walked towards the two women chatting. From afar, I could hear my mother-in-law's voice echoing. My daughter-in-law, you ask? Her family is dirt poor, but she clings to my son and won't let go. Tania chimed in, feigning innocence. Oh, but Auntie, I think your bracelet is beautiful and it looks so heavy. HMPH, that's all my son's money, taking his money and then showing off. I approached, smiling brightly. Mom, you and Tania seem to be having a wonderful time. I lightly patted my mother-in-law's shoulder. She jumped, gasped, clutched her chest, and glared at me. What are you doing? Popping up suddenly, trying to scare me to death? Tania immediately chimed in. Sister-in-law, you're here? Were you stuck in traffic? You kept Auntie waiting for so long. I'm so embarrassed. Oh, she's trying to assert dominance right away. I subtly cleared my throat, feigning apology. Mom, I wanted to come early, but my husband wouldn't let me. He said, who knows if Mom will even show up? And it's not like you're meeting anyone important, so what if you're a little late? This made Tania glare at me disdainfully, while my mother-in-law fell silent. Throughout the spa treatment, I remained quiet, listening to the other two gush about Leo's childhood memories. It was truly ridiculous how my mother-in-law knew nothing about her son's early life, yet still rambled on enthusiastically. Lily, I bet Auntie never told you about Leo's childhood, did she? Tania assumed that because she'd studied with Leo for a few years, and having heard my mother-in-law casually invent some stories about his youth, she could use this to lord it over me. It's true I'd never heard it from his mother, but I'd heard it from my husband's grandmother. After all, my husband grew up with his grandmother. My mother-in-law was speechless after hearing this, unable to say another word. I remember Leo moved to the city in high school, Auntie. Leo and I were very close back then, my mother-in-law agreed. I thought so too. Back then, I even planned that if you two got into the same university, I'd take you as my daughter-in-law right away. It's a shame you went to study abroad. Otherwise, you'd probably have children by now. This was the first time I'd seen someone dare to recount their son's past romantic relationship with another woman right in front of his wife. And it was thanks to this that I learned about Leo and Tania's past. If I hadn't known this, her words today were clearly meant to deliberately sabotage her son's marital happiness. I've seen many foolish people, but never one as foolish as her. She abandoned Leo for another man, and after being abandoned, she came back looking for Leo. Mom, if this were in ancient times, even if you wanted to marry a concubine for your son, you'd have to choose a virgin, wouldn't you? What nonsense are you spouting? Tania finally couldn't hold back anymore and sprang up from the bed. She and my mother-in-law were truly shameless, daring to say such things in a beauty salon in front of so many people. So, don't blame me for not being polite. How dare you speak to me like that? My mother-in-law was also startled by Tania's reaction, lying still, not daring to move or utter a sound. Don't get angry. Just think, if my husband hadn't told me, how would I know about your past? Do you think those little games can fool my husband? Tania slumped back onto the bed in frustration, with no more words to argue. Finally, I completed my full-body treatment smoothly. As soon as I stepped out, Leo was already waiting. Seeing me, he quickly got out of the car and took my bag. My dear wife, how was this spa? Is it any different from the places you've been before? I turned my head to look back. Tania was still arm in arm with my mother-in-law, walking out. It was then that I finally spoke. Compared to the places I've been, it's much worse. I'm fine, I just feel bad for Mom. My mother-in-law's attitude changed in a flash as soon as she saw Leo. Leo, this place is pretty good, actually. Luckily, Tania remembered to invite me. Next time, if you know of any better places, remember to invite me along? Leo nodded, glanced at me, and smiled. Yes, of course, next time I'll invite you. My wife will take you two to experience other places. Tania, arm in arm with my mother-in-law, was about to get into Leo's car. Leo immediately raised a hand to stop them. What are you two doing? Aren't you going to take Auntie home? And besides, I know where your house is. It's convenient for me to give you a ride. How shameless, treating my husband like a private chauffeur. Does she think she saved his life or something? I'm afraid I can't. Since you invited my mother to the spa, please be so kind as to take her home. Tonight, I have an important party, and my boss requires me to bring my wife. I need to take my wife to the party. You two can make your own arrangements. Leo said nothing more, just gestured to me. We got into the car, leaving my mother-in-law and Tania stunned, unable to react in time. A few days later, my mother-in-law sighed, claiming she was sick. After a checkup and getting medicine, she even said the doctor told her she shouldn't live alone anymore and ideally needed someone to take care of her. So, my mother-in-law decided on her own, without any warning, to move straight into our house. I'm old, how much longer do I have to live? Now I'm sick too. Can't I stay at my son's house for a few days? She said, wiping away tears, even crying out her deceased husband's name. Regardless, she was Leo's mother, even if she hadn't raised him for many days. But she did give birth to him, and she genuinely had a few minor ailments, so Leo found it hard to refuse. I'll find a helper to take care of Mom. You don't have to worry about it, just ignore it. Leo arranged for his mother to stay in the living room, soothing her until she finally settled down. But before a helper could be found, someone arrived on their own. It was then I understood why my mother-in-law had insisted on staying at my house. According to Leo, if she needed care, we could hire a helper and let her stay at her own house. There was no need for her to come here. It wasn't until Tania arrived with a pile of nourishing foods and cooking ingredients that I had an epiphany. So, this was the reason. Clearly, she wanted to create an opportunity for Tania to boldly step into my home. But since Tania already wanted to take care of my mother-in-law, Leo and I decided to discuss it, seizing this opportunity to our advantage. We'd just let her be the housekeeper. We'd pay her a full salary, essentially giving her a legitimate position. If she wants to stay in my house and monitor my and Leo's every move, I'll grant her wish. Tania, hearing she'd get paid and live in my house, immediately nodded in agreement. Actually, money isn't important. What's important is that Auntie has always treated me very well. Now that Auntie is sick, I have a responsibility to take care of her. Her words sounded good, but her intentions were anything but pure. Before I could even act, Leo lost all patience. I'm paying money to hire you as a housekeeper, but you don't even know how to cook. What kind of care is that? If you can't do the job, then pack up and leave early. Tania and my mother-in-law couldn't believe that Leo actually treated her like a housekeeper. Both stared at him wide-eyed, unsure what to say. What are you saying? Tania is your former classmate and your first love. How can you be so heartless and hurt her like that? Tania, as expected, began to look pathetic. She pretended to be on the verge of tears. I quickly raised a hand to stop her. I told you very clearly yesterday. We're paying you to be a housekeeper and care for my mother-in-law. You clearly agreed. If you had told us earlier that you couldn't cook, we would have found someone else and not bothered you. That's right, my wife isn't wrong. We invited you here to be a housekeeper, not a guest. Taking a salary without working, where in this world is something so easy? If you can't do the job, then quit. We're hiring a helper, not bringing in a Buddha to worship 3 times a day. We hired a housekeeper, not someone to wait on hand and foot. Since Tania accepted the role of a housekeeper, don't blame us for not being hospitable. My husband and I had the weekend off, so we stayed home. We constantly made Tania do one chore after another. She seemed displeased but didn't dare show it. Just after I asked her to peel fruit and pour water, I heard her go into my mother-in-law's room, complaining and crying. She claimed my husband and I were tormenting her. She said she had good intentions to care for my mother-in-law, but instead was treated like a servant. I immediately turned to Leo, my attitude becoming gentle and sweet. All that day, with nothing else to do, Leo and I just cooped up in the bedroom, watching movies and playing video games. We intentionally left the door ajar. Every time I lost a game, I'd pout and flop onto the bed, ignoring Leo. He would then hug me, his hands beginning to playfully tease me. From where I lay, I could clearly see through the crack in the door Tania peering inside, her necklace shimmering incessantly. Honey, with such a pretty housekeeper in the house, aren't you swayed at all? Are you jealous? Leo hugged my waist tightly, leaning close to my lips. A withered flower, who knows how many hands she passed through abroad? Now that she's abandoned, she comes back for me. Do you think I'm that easily fooled? I chuckled. I haven't even had a chance to ask you. How long has it been since you two last met? How do you know what she was doing abroad? Good heavens, don't you know? Before our wedding, our old friends gathered and spoke ill of her incessantly. Bad news travels fast, and besides, I'd already sent out wedding invitations. How could I change things? I nodded, pretending to understand, but my eyes never left the door. Honey, having an ex like that must be tiring, isn't it? You can say that again, so you have to make it up to me. Come here and give me a kiss. Leo hugged me tightly, starting to get a little frisky. I pushed him away. Hey, the door isn't closed yet. Someone's in the house. Leo, startled, quickly jumped off the bed and ran to close the door. Just then, he caught Tania eavesdropping. What are you doing, standing there peeping outside someone's bedroom door in broad daylight? You're a housekeeper, don't you have any sense of propriety? Tania panicked. No, I wasn't eavesdropping. I just came over to call you two out for fruit. Can I call out your names? Do you have a habit of peeking? I also got off the bed and stood next to Leo, linking my arm through his. Honey, you're being too harsh. She had good intentions. She finished cutting the fruit, so let's go have some. Leo put his arm around my waist, brushed past Tania, and headed into the living room. My mother-in-law was leisurely sitting on the sofa, eating fruit. Seeing us come out, she glanced over. Oh my, I completely forgot you two were home. Most of the fruit is gone now, what to do? Actually, the fruit was just an excuse. I just wanted to give Tania an opportunity to explain herself. Oh right, Tania invited Mom and me to the spa last time. I see Mom's health has improved a lot lately. I still feel a bit bad that Tania had to pay for it last time. How about I invite both of you to the spa this time? What do you think, honey? As soon as my mother-in-law heard spa, her eyes lit up. Yes, yes, these past few days of being sick, I've looked so pale and my skin has lost its glow. Tania remained silent, offering no opinion. She was probably still reeling from the eavesdropping incident earlier. All right, you take Mom. Mom, go relax and get well. Once you're well, we'll feel at ease sending you back to the countryside. Indeed, only Leo understood me. We thought alike. My mother-in-law had been complaining all day about aches and pains at our house, even claiming to be tired from a simple stroll. We couldn't force her to leave, but if she agreed to go to the spa, she'd surely feel better. By the time she realized our intentions, it was too late. Saturday night was when Leo had plans to play basketball with friends to unwind, so I took my mother-in-law and Tania to the spa. On the way, Tania started hinting again. Honestly, the best spa in the city right now is probably Mute, but it's really expensive there. When I have the means, I'll definitely take Auntie. I didn't know who she was talking to. My mother-in-law, however, nodded continuously. For people like her, anything that benefits them is acceptable. I parked right in front of Mute. I heard a deep gasp from the back seat, followed by a mocking laugh. Lily, don't pretend, don't you know? This spa is for members only. The entrance fee is $100 million and you can't even dream of stepping inside without a card. Members only? Ha, I'm a shareholder here. Why would I need a membership card? But I didn't want to argue with her. Getting inside was enough to prove my point. The receptionist was about to greet me, but I signaled her not to reveal my identity. She understood. Oh, Ms. Lily, you're free to visit today? Tania's eyes widened in surprise. What, you're a member here? The manager quickly ran out to greet me as soon as he saw me. I linked arms with him. Manager, this is my mother and my younger sister. Please ensure they receive excellent service. Tania was dumbfounded. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, began to show her displeasure. $100 million membership fee? Lily, are you squandering Leo's hard-earned money like this? You're truly a spendthrift. In front of so many people, she even tried to hit me. I immediately grabbed her wrist firmly. Mom, we're still out in public. Can you save me some face? You can hit me all you want when we get home. For now, let's just go relax and cool down. My mother-in-law was already overwhelmed by the luxury and intoxicating fragrance of the place. With just a few soft words from me, she quickly followed the specialist into the treatment room. I knew she'd react that way. She thought this money was Leo's for me to spend, and I was certain Tania thought the same. Oh, Leo must be working so hard. Even with a high salary, Lily, spending like this isn't good. I looked directly at her. My mother doesn't fully understand, but I believe you're a smart person. Honestly, you find this spa difficult to get into, but for me, it's very easy. Seeing her suspicious expression, I smiled. I have shares in this place. What do you think if I want to come in? Whose permission do I need? With that, I ignored her and walked straight into my room. After finishing her treatment, my mother-in-law was extremely satisfied. She praised the staff nonstop. When leaving, she even held the manager's hand, introducing herself as my biological mother and saying she would come often in the future. As for Tania, her eyes were filled with nothing but envy. On the way home, my mother-in-law chattered excitedly about how good everything was at the spa. Tania just gave strained, a huzz, no longer having the sarcastic tone she'd had on the way there. Back home, my mother-in-law was still captivated by her freshly treated skin, admiring herself endlessly in the bathroom. Tania sat alone on the sofa, lost in thought. Seeing Leo return, she immediately jumped up and ran to greet him at the door. "Leo, you're home. Let me pour you some water." As if she were the mistress of the house. I stood by the door with my arms crossed, watching them, waiting to see how Leo would embarrass her. Not gone yet. "My wife took you to the spa, so consider all debts repaid. You're still here? Are you planning to become a full-time housekeeper?" Tania's face went pale, then red, then green. Leo finished changing his shoes, but she was still blocking his way, refusing to move. Leo gave her a sidelong glance, sucked in his stomach, squeezed past her, walking as close to the wall as possible as if she carried germs. I burst out laughing. "Honey, I'm sleepy." Leo didn't say a word, scooped me up, and carried me straight to the bedroom. But it was also time to politely usher these two distinguished guests out of the house. Even my mother-in-law shouldn't expect to settle here permanently. From childhood to adulthood, she hadn't raised Leo for more than a few days. When we bought this house, he and I each contributed half. At that time, Leo's career was just starting to take off, and his finances were still tight. My family, on the other hand, had ample space, so I decided to sell one of my properties to afford this house. Moreover, the property deed was solely in my name. I had full authority to decide who stayed and who left. The night before, Leo had been a bit too active. The next morning, I slept in a bit longer. Leo had already woken up and gone to the gym. It wasn't until almost 11 a.m. that I fully woke up. I heard voices from the living room. I was startled awake completely. After several days, I still hadn't gotten used to my mother-in-law and Tania living in the house. I showered, got dressed, and headed to the kitchen to find something to eat. "Auntie, I have something I've kept hidden, something I've never told you or Leo." Tania's voice was faltering, seemingly choked with emotion. "My dear, don't be shy, just tell me. I'm actually very fond of you. You're well-behaved and considerate, unlike my daughter-in-law who only knows how to squander money and understands nothing, only knows how to spend my son's money. Yesterday, she even dared to spend $100,000 at the spa. I haven't even settled that score with her yet." I let out a soft, deliberately coughing a few times to show my displeasure. I ignored the two of them and calmly went to the kitchen to find food. "Lily, come here, I want to talk to you." My mother-in-law's voice was very stern. I yawned broadly and slowly walked into the living room. "Did you call me, Mom?" "About that spa membership fee yesterday. You said we'd talk about it at home. Now tell me, how did you trick my son into giving you money? When I ask him for money, he always says he doesn't have any. Turns out that vixen tricked him out of it all, didn't she?" It seemed Leo wasn't entirely foolish. At least he knew how to pretend to be poor in front of his mother. I glanced at the wall clock, calculating that Leo should be home soon. I lowered my head, not blinking, and tears suddenly welled up from feeling wronged. "Mom, you're misunderstanding me. I truly didn't spend any money at the spa yesterday." "Lies. Tania clearly said the membership fee was $100,000. If you didn't pay, how could you be a member? Are you still trying to deceive me? My son might be fooled by you, but I'm not that easily fooled. Tell me the truth, Mom." Before I could finish my sentence, the door burst open. I spun around, my tear-filled eyes meeting Leo's. Leo had been in a cheerful mood, but seeing my red eyes, his expression immediately turned grim. "You two are staying in my house, eating my food, spending my money, and my wife was even kind enough to take you to the spa. Yet you take advantage of my absence to bully her." Leo was usually a gentle person. In all the years I'd been with him, I'd only seen him lose his temper once. That time, it was because a man kept harassing me, even blocking my way in an alley to play dirty tricks. Even now, thinking back, I'm still terrified of the consequences they faced. Today was the second time I saw Leo erupt in fury, though it wasn't as explosive as the first time. But knowing him, my mother-in-law and Tania had crossed his limit. Without another word, Leo walked straight into the living room and gathered all the belongings his mother had brought. "Mom, I see your health has recovered. My mother-in-law will be coming tonight. If you're still here, she won't be happy. I'll take you home." You ungrateful wretch, how dare you speak to your mother like that? I'm your birth mother. You'd kick your own mother out of the house for your wife's mother? This is your house, why can't I stay?" "Mom, let me remind you again. This house belongs to my wife. Her name is on the property deed. If you want a reasonable excuse to justify it, just consider me a live-in son-in-law at Lily's house. If you don't agree to leave, I'll be kicked out of the house along with you." All these past days, my mother-in-law and Tania had been sharing a room, even though there was still an empty room. But Leo thought Tania had come to take care of his mother, so staying with her would be more convenient. Leo turned to look at Tania, who was clearly terrified. And what about you? Will you pack your things yourself, or should I call someone to throw them all out? Tania had never seen Leo so scary. She scrambled to her feet and rushed into the room to pack her belongings. As we saw them downstairs, waiting for the elevator, my mother-in-law tried to squeeze out a few more tears. "You ungrateful brats, I'm your birth mother and you treat me like this." Tania supported my mother-in-law, standing before the elevator door, her face filled with lingering reluctance. Leo didn't bother to see them all the way down, he just leaned against the door frame. "You've received your salary, but haven't worked your full time. I have no intention of demanding it back. The only thing you need to do is take my mother home." Before Tania could say anything, Leo slammed the door shut. I sat at the dining table, casting a contemptuous glance at the sofa. "I already called someone to clean up. You were only a few minutes late and I almost cried my eyes out." Leo came over, sat next to me and pulled me into his arms. I sat on his lap, pouting, not even bothering to look at his face. "I texted you, didn't I? The bakery you like was so crowded today, the line was too long. I'm sorry, my dear wife, I was wrong. Don't be mad at me anymore." "I don't think your mom and Tania will give up easily. The look on your mom's face when she left, it was like she wanted to devour me whole. Yesterday, I was kind enough to take them both to the spa. Who knew your ex-girlfriend would stand next to your mom, making snide remarks about having to pay $100,000 to be a member? As a result, your mom looked at me as if I was draining your money." Leo leaned down, intending to kiss me to calm me down. I was still angry, so I turned my face away. "Don't worry, I won't let anyone bully you." After that incident, my mother-in-law and Tania suddenly went quiet for a while. Leo and I also enjoyed a rare period of peace, until my mother-in-law came up with a new trick. She called, asking when we planned to have children. She even mentioned knowing a good doctor at a hospital, specializing in obstetrics and reproductive health. Her words carried a hidden jab, implying I couldn't have children. She wanted me to get checked early, saying that if natural conception wasn't possible, being young would make IVF easier to succeed. I angrily hung up immediately. Leo and I had always used contraception because we wanted to enjoy our private lives and weren't in a hurry to have children. Yet, through my mother-in-law's mouth, it became my inability to conceive. When Leo returned from work and I told him, he was equally furious because his mother had called him with a similar conversation. I thought my mother-in-law was just bored and eager for grandchildren. Little did I know, there was someone else pulling the strings behind the scenes. That day, my mother-in-law brought a child to Leo's company. I was on my way to collect rent at the time. My mother and her friends were on a long trip for seniors, a trip that would last at least a month. So, collecting this month's rent fell to me. "Wife, my mom brought a child to the company, saying it's my son. I've been wronged, come rescue me quickly." Leo's voice on the phone sounded full of grievance. I truly couldn't understand what my mother-in-law was thinking. Her son had a stable job and gave her a good amount of spending money every month. In fact, she could totally enjoy a comfortable retirement like my own mother. Instead, she let Tania incite her, constantly trying to sow discord between Leo and me. She really didn't appreciate what she had. It was already dinner time, and I had a table reserved at a restaurant. I needed to eat well to have the energy to deal with the situation. If my guess wasn't wrong, the child my mother-in-law brought must be Tania's son. During dinner, my mother-in-law constantly scooped food for the child, calling him her little darling and precious gem. Tania looked uncomfortable, glancing at Leo while subtly eyeing me. "Lily, don't take it to heart. Actually, Auntie doesn't want a child to grow up without a father's love. I just feel sorry for him. I have no intention of snatching your position. As long as the boy can see his grandma and dad often, I'll be happy." There was no denying that the child did share some features with Tania, but to say he was Leo's son, I saw absolutely no resemblance. From beginning to end, Leo remained silent, his expression grim, only focused on eating, completely contrasting with his mother's enthusiasm for the child. When the boy was almost done eating, Tania gently patted his back. "Son, you're full, so pour some water for Daddy and Auntie Lily." Looking at the boy, who was about 6 or 7 years old, if what Tania said was true that he was Leo's son, wouldn't that mean she got pregnant right after they broke up after high school? The boy brought a glass of water to Leo and said, "Daddy, please drink some water." Leo raised his hand and knocked the glass over. "Who's your dad? Don't you go to school? Don't your teachers teach you to be honest?" The boy looked bewildered, then burst into sobs. My mother-in-law quickly hugged the child, soothing him. "Leo, how can you be so heartless? Ever since you got married, you don't even acknowledge your mother. Now you're denying your own child. It's all because of your wicked wife. Leo slammed his hand down on the table. I didn't know how much force he used, only that the hard marble-topped wooden table shook several times. You slept with another man and had a child, and now you're claiming it's mine? I know what I've done and haven't done. Whoever wants to wear that cuckold's horns can wear them. Leo, don't be angry. Do you remember? After we broke up on the night of our high school reunion, you were drunk and asked someone else to call me. That child is the result of that night. Tania feigned intense sorrow, crying dramatically. I had to admit, her acting was even better than mine. Her tears looked very real. Leo, regardless, I consider this boy my legitimate grandson. You two have been married for so long and haven't had a single child. It's all because your wife can't conceive. If you don't want a child, I still need a grandchild. If you want a grandchild, go find one yourself. You want to make this boy my son with just a few sentences? Don't blame me if I report you to the police for slander, Leo said, grabbing my hand, intending to leave. Tania quickly clutched at me, falling to her knees behind me. Lily, please, it's so hard raising a child alone. Please, I don't want to fight you for Leo, but my child can't be without a father. I turned to look at Tania's tear-filled eyes. How about we take some time to get a DNA test for the child? If he really is Leo's son, we'll accept him. This made Leo furious. I had to coax him for a long time before he calmed down. The next day, Leo took leave from work to take the child for a DNA test, requesting it be done as quickly as possible. The results showed that the child was indeed Leo's biological son. Tania breathed a sigh of relief. Leo, as long as you visit your son regularly, I'll be content. I don't ask for anything more. No sooner had she finished speaking than the police burst in. Helping someone fake DNA test results so brazenly, of course, there would be consequences. The restaurant yesterday was owned by my best friend. After Leo and I left, Tania had gone into the restroom and called someone to arrange a fake test, even using my mother-in-law's hair to swap samples. Coincidentally, my friend, who was inspecting the restaurant, overheard everything. I had already told her about Tania's antics. As soon as she heard it, my friend immediately recognized the plot. After hearing about the scheme, she instantly called to inform me. Tania might have acquaintances at the testing center, but did she think I didn't? Tania had indeed dated a man after high school graduation and became pregnant. After giving birth, she was abandoned. Then she shacked up with a rich man and went abroad with him. Not long after, that man's wife found out and kicked her out. Unable to make a living abroad, she returned. Now that the truth was out, there was no hiding it anymore. Tania, carrying her child, fled. My mother-in-law cried, saying she had been deceived, apologizing to me repeatedly. But she was Leo's mother, not mine. I wouldn't forbid her from seeing her son, but I would never forgive her. The cruel words she had said, and her attempt to bring another woman into my marriage, were enough for me to condemn her in my heart. My dear wife, rest assured. From now on, I'll only send monthly living expenses to my mother. If there's nothing truly important, I'll limit my visits to her. After all, she is my mother. Even if she didn't raise me for many days, she gave birth to me. If you want to cut ties, I won't stop you, but don't worry, I'll try to avoid her as much as possible. That's fine then. It's good if you try not to run into her. My mother returned from her trip. After hearing everything, her eyes widened in astonishment, feeling both sympathy for her daughter and pity for Leo. That evening, Leo took out a bottle of premium wine. Congratulations, my love. Finally, you can live in peace. I shyly pushed the wine glass away, shaking my head slightly. Leo and my mother were both surprised. I'm pregnant. I can't drink alcohol. My mother was overjoyed, nodding repeatedly and saying, Good, good, good. Leo froze for a moment, then quickly rushed around the table to hug me tightly. Wife, I love you so much. Right in front of my mother, he tenderly held my face and kissed me repeatedly. Yes, it's these simple, peaceful days, just being by the side of the one I love. That's more than enough.